Hello, I'm Araxi Nassif, and today I'm going to be presenting Unit 4 cases. I've chose cases 1 and 3, and I'm going to go ahead and start describing these cases. So the first case I'm going to start with is case 3, just to give you an overview of what the case was. It was a 47-year-old man that presented with severe pain in his right great toe, and he was unable to bear weight on his right foot, and there was no apparent trauma. He reported that it continued through the night and it increased severity. And labs were conducted. The physician thought he was diagnosed with gout. So the patient's plasma urate was 10.5, which normal would be less than 7. So his plasma urate was elevated, and his urinary uric acid was actually not elevated. Normal levels would be 413 plus minus 78, and his was only 215. So the question here was to describe and explain the presentation of gout in this individual and why the other choices would not be the case. So the choices were in fact overproduction of purines, decreased salvage of purines, and decreased urinary excretion of uric acid. So I think my answer, the best answer that I chose for this case was the decreased uric acid excretion in the urine. And the reasoning behind this is because the sudden gout attack could be a type of dietary modification that has happened. So what is gout? Gout is a type of arthritis, and its characteristics include severe pain, redness, and tenderness in the joints. And over here I have a picture of what gout may look like in some people, and there are 4 stages of it. And then you could look at that while I explain the case further. So in most patients, gout is caused by the decreased secretion of uric acid via the urine, which this patient did have decreased uric acid. And in the case above, the uric acid has fallen considerably from 413 to 215, so almost half. And uric acid is known to be the end product of the purine metabolism and purine overproduction, which could be an underlying cause of the elevated serum level of the uric acid. But however, there is no certainty that we in fact say that this is the cause, because other factors come into play for several reasons. Just a few of other factors I stated to here would be the deficiency in the purine metabolism and several medications that have increased uric acid serum levels. So other reasons are the effects of the purine metabolism, like I have stated, and the uric acid may not be the cause for the increase of the uric acid in the plasma for his case. Moving on, why the other options cannot be correct. So another option that was presented was decreased salvage of the purines, and why I don't think this would fit this particular case is because that it does not cause an elevation in the plasma concentration of the uric acid, and he did not have an elevation as we could see from his labs. So to determine the roots of the cause, information about the reason of hyperuricemia is needed, which was not presented in this current case, but that is the root of the cause that we would need information about hyperuricemia. However, we did not have that information. So, also, this patient presented his argument about why he switched from regular soda to diet soda, because he thought the fake sugars would not be good for him. So regular soda is a sweetener that contains fructose, and as we know, fructose is known to raise the uric acid levels. And it does this by increasing its production through the ATP degradation, which is similar to ATP hydrolysis in a way, and that ATP degradation goes to the AMP, which is known as the precursor for the uric acid. So therefore, his arguments cannot be valid because the patient the fructose in the diet soda is artificial and therefore has no association with the uric acid levels. The artificial sugars in the diet soda may be aspartame or saccharin, and these two artificial sugars both are way sweeter than regular sugar or sucrose. They could be 200 to 400 times sweeter. So aspartame is a non-saccharide and is the metal ester of aspartic acid, where saccharin is a 0-calorie sweetener, and its similarity between these two sugars, such like I stated before, is that it is usually way sweeter than normal sugar. So therefore, this patient's argument from switching to regular soda, from diet soda to regular soda, does not in fact fit his argument, and he does not make a valid argument because there is no association with the uric acid levels, and these artificial sugars do not have anything to do with the uric acid. So moving on to case 1, just to give you again an overview of the actual case. It was a newborn girl that appeared normal at birth, but within 24 hours have developed lethargy, hypothermia, and apnea. So labs were conducted, and her physician showed that initial blood ammonia level was at 314. Normal ranges are usually from 17 to 80 and then rose suddenly to 600. The urine orotic level was elevated at 473, and the plasma sertraline level was the only normal level, which was at 10. So, and then it says, in this patient where orotic levels are elevated, list one urea cycle enzyme that is most likely deficient and one urea cycle enzyme that is not to be impaired, least likely to be impaired. So, the diagnostic that I chose that would be best fit for this was the plasma glutamine, and I chose this answer because it seems to be the best diagnostic tool that would be able to differentiate between the urea cycle and the beta oxidation defect. So just an overview of glutamine characteristics. It's non-toxic, it's non-essential amino acid, and it's involved in the detoxification and ammonia transport. So over here, I just included several pictures of urea cycle disorders and the defects in beta oxidation, just to show comparisons and similarities and differences. In the middle over here, I put the glutamine transport cycle just to also see how everything is going. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but it's a good visual to go look back on. So the relationship between free ammonia and plasma glutamine levels are as follows. If one increases, the other increases as well. Glutamine levels are normal in the beta oxidation, and these levels range from 500 to 750. From this specific case of information available to us, this seems to be a case of OTC deficiency. So what is OTC? OTC is an X-linked disorder that lacks the enzyme OTC and plays a role in breaking down and removing the nitrogen from the body. So OTC in boys is different than girls. Although it is both the lack of the OTC enzyme in boys, it's associated with high levels of serum ammonia levels, and in girls, it's associated with causing mutations of an X chromosome, and due to this can lead to hyperammonia, which is like apnea, which is what this patient had after 24 hours. So just an explanation of the whole thing, urea cycle. I have a whole diagram. I know it's kind of hard to follow through, but I'm gonna help you through that now. So we know that the carbonyl phosphate goes to the mitochondria, which then leads to the escaping into the cytoplasm. Then from the escaping into the cytoplasm, this leads to the synthesis of pyridine, and this causes an increased amount of orotic actin in the urine. So this increased orotic acid helps distinguish the difference from the OTC deficiency and the carbonyl phosphate synthase 1, also known as CPS1. So in this particular case, the affected enzyme would have to be the OTC, and the least affected that was disabled would have to be the CPS1, just from the labs presented and from the distinguishing between both of these defects. I hope you enjoyed this case study, and I hope that you got a lot out of it. And over here I have included references. This one is for the LTC's efficiency, and it explains the reasoning behind all this. And I also have one for the GOOT, which also explains the reasoning behind my answers. Thank you.